Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Meg Ryan. The enduring icon of romantic comedy, Meg Ryan has long been one of Hollywood's most recognizable and beloved faces, a performer whose blend of charm, vulnerability, and bright comedic timing helped define an entire era of filmmaking. Rising from supporting roles in the 1980s to becoming the face of the modern romantic comedy in the 1990s. Ryan remains an enduring figure whose influence can still be felt across film and television today. Early life and humble beginnings. Born Margaret Mary Emily Hyra on November 19, 1961, in Fairfield, Connecticut, Ryan grew up in a creative household and found her way into acting while studying journalism at New York University. To help pay for classes, she auditioned for commercials and small roles, eventually landing a part on the daytime soap As the World Turns. That gig opened the door to film work, and soon she was winning over audiences with her expressive face and effortless relatability. Breakthrough and rise to stardom. Ryan's early films, including Top Gun, 1986, and Inner Space, 1987, showcased her ability to shine even in supporting roles. But it was When Harry Met Sally, 1989, directed by Rob Reiner and written by Nora Ephron, that transformed her career. Her now iconic deli scene became one of cinema's most memorable moments, and the film established Ryan as the queen of the romantic comedy. Throughout the 1990s, she built on that reputation with a series of hits that solidified her place among Hollywood's most bankable stars. Films like Sleepless in Seattle, 1993, You've Got Mail, 1998, and French Kiss, 1995, became instant classics and showcased her uncanny ability to balance heart, humor, and emotional truth. Working with actors like Tom Hanks and directors like Nora Ephron, Ryan helped redefine what a rom-com could be. Evolving roles and artistic choices. While she was often associated with light-hearted romance, Ryan made deliberate choices to branch out. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, she pursued more dramatic work, including Courage Under Fire, 1996, and Proof of Life, 2000, roles that allowed her to explore deeper emotional terrain. These performances demonstrated her range, even if audiences remained most attached to her softer, comedic persona. Ryan later stepped back from the spotlight, a move she said allowed her to focus on her personal life and explore interests outside of mainstream Hollywood. Her break from acting, far from diminishing her legacy, made fans appreciate her classic films even more. A return to creativity. In recent years, Ryan has re-emerged on her own terms. She made her directorial debut in 2015 with Ithaca, a gentle wartime drama, and later returned to romantic comedy with What Happens Later, 2023, a mature two-hander that echoes her earlier work while embracing the nuance of midlife connection. Her reappearances feel like quiet gifts to longtime fans. Legacy and cultural impact. Meg Ryan's legacy extends far beyond her filmography. She helped define and elevate the romantic comedy genre at a time when it was often dismissed as lightweight. Her characters were warm, witty, slightly messy, and always human, reflecting everyday hopes and insecurities in a way that resonated with millions of moviegoers. Her influence can be seen in countless performers who followed, and her films continue to be rediscovered by new audiences who crave stories filled with earnest emotion and genuine charm. Meg Ryan didn't just star in rom-coms, she helped craft their golden age. Conclusion. Across decades, Meg Ryan has remained a symbol of warmth and emotional authenticity. Her work continues to inspire affection and nostalgia, and her presence in film history is secure. From her early days in television to her reign as America's sweetheart and her later creative ventures, Meg Ryan stands as one of cinema's most endearing and influential figures. A deeper look at Meg Ryan. Hollywood's timeless heartbeat. Meg Ryan occupies a rare space in American cinema. The kind reserved for actors whose work becomes woven into the emotional memory of entire generations. Her films weren't just box office hits, they were comfort watches, rainy day staples, and cultural touchstones. For many, Ryan wasn't just an actress but a feeling. The craft behind the charm. What made Meg Ryan stand out wasn't only her charisma, though she had that in spades. It was the way she approached character. Ryan often gravitated toward roles that required emotional precision rather than flash, relying on subtle facial shifts, timing, and an ability to make ordinary moments sparkle. In When Harry Met Sally, she didn't play Sally as a stereotype but as a particular kind of person, meticulous, heartfelt, romantic, anxious, hopeful. Viewers saw themselves in her quirks. Ryan excelled at capturing the tiny hesitations and quiet joys of everyday life, making her characters feel lived in instead of scripted. A defining partnership. Ryan and Efron. A huge part of Ryan's cultural impact comes from her collaborations with writer and director Nora Ephron. Efron wrote women who were funny, self-aware, imperfect, and warm, and Ryan brought those characters to life with a rare softness. Together, they created films that blended humor with genuine emotional depth. Sleepless in Seattle tapped into the idea of destiny without falling into melodrama, and You've Got Mail remains one of the most charming depictions of modern relationships, blending nostalgia with the early days of the internet age. Their movies weren't cynical, they were deeply humane. A star navigating a changing Hollywood. The 2000s brought a shift in studio priorities. Romantic comedies became less common, and the industry leaned into superheroes and giant franchises. For a star so closely associated with rom-com magic, the landscape changed quickly. Ryan made bold choices, rejecting the idea that she had to remain America's sweetheart forever. Her roles in films like In the Cut, 2003, demonstrated a willingness to challenge her own public image. While the film divided critics, Ryan delivered one of the most complex performances of her career, proving she wasn't bound by any genre. Stepping away and growing out of the spotlight. Unlike many actors who cling to visibility, Ryan chose an entirely different path. She eased out of the relentless Hollywood machine, opting for privacy, motherhood, travel, and creative exploration. She has spoken openly about rediscovering herself outside the pressures of fame. In later interviews, she noted that the industry's chaos simply stopped feeling meaningful. Instead, she embraced the freedom that comes with stepping back. This period of quiet reflection helped her return to filmmaking with a different artistic compass. Her directorial voice. When Ryan finally returned, she chose to sit behind the camera. Ithaca revealed her interest in gentle, human stories. It wasn't a loud or flashy debut but a tender one, echoing the emotional sincerity that defined her acting career. Years later, she teamed up with David Duchovny in What Happens Later, a mature romantic comedy about ex-lovers reconnecting after decades. It's wistful, funny, and thoughtful, showing Ryan's instinct for stories that explore vulnerability and emotional truth at any age. Why Meg Ryan still matters. Romantic comedies today often draw inspiration from the blueprint she helped popularize: the grounded heroine, the emotional honesty, the mix of humor and sincerity. You can see her fingerprints on countless modern performers who lean into charm without sacrificing depth. There's also something quietly radical about the longevity of her work. In a world that's increasingly ironic, Meg Ryan's films remain genuinely romantic. They believe in connection, timing, fate, misunderstandings, friendships that turn into something more. That earnestness never really goes out of style. A legacy written in emotion. Meg Ryan may no longer dominate headlines, but her legacy is steady and enduring. She shaped a genre, defined an era, and proved that emotional authenticity can be more powerful than spectacle. Whether she's on-screen delivering a heartfelt monologue or off quietly crafting her own projects, Ryan's influence is evergreen. Her best films don't just entertain. They invite audiences into a softer, kinder world, and that's why they endure. Continuing the portrait of Meg Ryan, an icon whose influence refuses to fade. The cultural moment that shaped her stardom. Meg Ryan didn't become a legend in a vacuum. The late 80s and 90s were a unique era in Hollywood, where studios still bank on mid-budget, character-driven films. There was room for stories about ordinary people stumbling into love or figuring out what happiness actually meant. Ryan fit this era perfectly. She offered something studios couldn't manufacture: relatability wrapped in star quality. She wasn't aloof or unattainable. She felt like someone you could run into in a bookstore or a cafe. That blend of accessibility and natural charisma made her stand out from the more overtly glamorous stars of the time. Her chemistry with co-stars. Chemistry is one of those things you can't teach. And Ryan had it with an impressive list of leading men. Tom Hanks, of course, is the gold standard. Their on-screen rapport was so effortless that audiences rooted for them even before their characters met in Sleepless in Seattle. With Billy Crystal, she created one of the most enduring friendships in rom-com history. With Kevin Kline in French Kiss, she leaned into screwball comedy with gusto. With Andy Garcia in When a Man Loves a Woman, she delivered a raw, unflinching portrayal of addiction, showing she could move fluidly between vulnerability and strength. Her partners didn't overshadow her. They brought out different shades of her talent. Her impact on fashion and pop culture. Meg Ryan's influence extended far beyond movie theaters. Her haircuts alone sparked cultural waves. The tousled, textured style she sported in the 1990s became so popular it was simply referred to as the Meg Ryan cut, a testament to her status as a trendsetter. Her style, often cozy and effortless, influenced a generation of women who preferred approachable fashion over runway perfection. Think turtlenecks, loose sweaters, trench coats, and soft colors. She made everyday style aspirational. Even her characters' jobs became iconic. Bookstore owner, journalist, chef. These roles ended up shaping the way audiences imagined romantic protagonists: passionate, quirky, warm, and always chasing some personal dream. A voice for empathy and emotion. Ryan's characters, almost without fail, had emotional depth. They cared deeply about their relationships, their work, and the small joys of life. They weren't superheroes. They were people dealing with heartbreak, longing, career doubts, and second chances. This emotional transparency was part of her magic. She played characters who weren't afraid to feel things out loud, who stumbled, hesitated, made mistakes, and still moved forward. Audiences connected with that vulnerability in a way that still resonates today. The media frenzy and the strength behind it. The early 2000s were unforgiving to celebrities. Tabloid culture exploded, and Ryan became a target. Personal relationships, professional decisions, and even her appearance were scrutinized endlessly. The attention was often harsh and deeply unfair. But Ryan weathered it with resilience. She recognized that stepping back was healthier than staying in the spotlight. And she took control of her own narrative by prioritizing her well-being over public approval. This quiet strength reshaped her life and career. Her second act, reinvention through creativity. When she returned to filmmaking, she came back as someone who understood her own artistry on a deeper level. Her directorial work explores themes of memory, longing, and the emotional crossroads that define adulthood. In What Happens Later, she leaned into the idea that love isn't a fairy tale but a series of choices and moments that mark us. The film is more reflective than her earlier rom-coms, carrying the emotional weight of lived experience. It proved that her storytelling instincts are just as sharp as her acting. Why new generations still discover her. It's not just millennials or Gen X who revisit her films. Gen Z has found Meg Ryan too. Drawn by the sincerity her movies offer in a world often dominated by irony. Her films feel like emotional safe spaces. Places where human connection matters and small acts of kindness can change everything. TikTok, YouTube edits, and revived interest in 90s nostalgia have sparked a Meg Ryan renaissance. People are rediscovering the joy of cozy worlds where characters grow, love unfolds naturally, and romance isn't rushed. The timelessness behind the star. The heart of Meg Ryan's legacy is simple. She made people feel something real. She crafted characters who laughed, cried, doubted themselves, believed in serendipity, and found beauty in ordinary moments. Her films endure not because of spectacle but because of soul. She represents a type of movie magic that has become rare, human-scale stories told with sincerity. Further expanding the story of Meg Ryan. A career etched into film history. Her evolution as an actress. Meg Ryan's rise to stardom wasn't about shock value or reinvention every 6 months. Her career grew steadily, built on consistency and emotional intelligence. She brought a warmth that felt natural, not performed. Directors often praised her instinctive understanding of character arcs, her ability to find humor in a line that wasn't written as a joke, and her talent for grounding even whimsical stories in truth. While many romantic comedy leads lean on archetype, Ryan leaned on personality. She infused each role with a distinct emotional fingerprint. Sally's precision in When Harry Met Sally wasn't the same as Annie's wistful hopefulness in Sleepless in Seattle, or Kathleen's sincere optimism in You've Got Mail. They felt real because she made them real. Behind the scenes, her work ethic. Ryan was known on set for being meticulous yet relaxed, bringing an almost writer-like approach to her roles. She often took time to refine dialogue rhythms, adjust physical beats, and explore the emotional motivations behind even small gestures. Co-stars frequently described her as collaborative, generous, and easy to laugh. Nora Ephron once mentioned that Ryan had a gift for making complicated emotions feel simple and making simple emotions feel significant. That's part of why her films became comfort viewing. She knew how to translate internal feelings into tiny, visible moments. Her underappreciated dramatic work. While the rom-coms get most of the spotlight, Ryan's dramatic performances deserve equal recognition. When a Man Loves a Woman, 1994, remains one of her strongest roles. Playing an alcoholic mother trying to rebuild her life, Ryan delivered a layered, unvarnished performance.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.